today's lecture, we are going to see variable declaration and initialization in Java. How to declare a variable and also how to initialize a variable. Now, what is a variable? What is the definition of a variable? A variable is the name of storage location, or a variable is the name of memory location. For example, if you can think of this is RAM. In random access memory or primary memory, every byte is addressable. That means each and every byte has some address. Here the first byte 1000 address 1001, 1002, 1003. Of course, this number for our understanding purpose only I am using 1000, but it can be any other address also. Okay, each and every byte has address. Now a variable is the name of storage location. Here to this storage location you can give a name, and in this memory location or storage location you can save something. It may be a number or it may be a character. You can save like this, 1000. Here it is the starting address of these 4 bytes. And if you want to store a number, yes, you can store, and at the same time you can give a name to this memory location, so that you can access this memory location later in the program, and you can give some other value to this variable also. So what is the variable name? Here variable name is age. Like that you can give any name to a variable, and this is the value, and this is address. So what's a variable? A variable is the name of storage location, and these are the containers. So a variable is like a container. So what does a container contains? Container contains some goods, right? Like that, here this memory location contains some number or character or string, like that. And when we give a name to this memory location, it becomes a variable. A variable can store data of any type. Yes, you can store any type of data. We have different types of data, right? We have character type of data. So in the previous class we studied all the data types: boolean, right? Char, then int, then float, then double. So like this we have different types of data. So a variable, it can store data, any data type, values of any data type. Then the names of variables are also called as identifiers. Here we see this word identifier. you know uh, Identifiers means, identifiers, this word has a broader meaning. Identifiers can be the names of variables, or they can be the names of classes, the names of methods, like that. When we give any name to a variable or class or method or interface, they are generally called identifiers. So names of variables are also called as identifiers. Then each and every variable must be declared before they are used. Yes, it is important. If you want to store some data in memory, what you should do, you should declare a variable before you use it. And finally, each and every variable has a scope. What does it mean? Scope. We will be looking at the scope in the next lecture. I will be talking about scope in the next video lecture. And an important thing here we need to consider is we should give a suitable name to the variable, so that it tells the reader what the variable represents. For example, when you give a name to a variable, it is better for us to give a suitable name rather than generally what we do, we write like this: int I, j, k, like that, right? So rather than giving some names like this, I, j, k, like this, it is better for us to give some meaningful names. For example, int age, int length, like, so these are having, some meanings. So age, we can understand, yes, we are going to store the age of a person here in this variable. In this length variable, we are going to store the length of a particular thing, right? So rather than giving ijk or abc, it is better to give some meaningful names to variables. How to declare a variable? How can you declare a variable? Here a variable can be declared like this is the general form of a variable declaration. Data type, you should write the data type. What is a data type? We already discussed data type in the previous lecture, so if you have missed it, please once again see the video lecture, data types in Java. Okay, anyway, data type. Here we have different types of data types, right? First you should write the data type, then you should give some space, then variable name 1, variable name 2, variable name n, like that you can give, right? We can give any name to a variable subjected to some conditions. Yes, we are going to look at the conditions, the rules, right, in the next slide. But data type followed by variable name, very simple to declare a variable. If you want to declare multiple variables, yes, you can declare, and use commas. You should give comma, comma, like this you can give, and finally you should end this declaration with a semicolon. This is what you should remember, right? This is the general form of declaring a variable: data type followed by variable name. This is very similar to the variable declaration in C and C++, right? And what are the rules to follow when we declare a variable? So variable names must begin with an alphabet. Then you should remember, so every variable name must begin with an alphabet. Okay, then we know that alphabets are from small a to small a to small z, right? Alphabets. You should write the variable, or every variable must begin with an alphabet or an underscore. Yes, you can start a variable name with an underscore also, and also dollar sign we can use. Yeah, there are three things. One is you can give any a to z, any alphabet, then you can use underscore or dollar sign. After the starting letter, what is the starting letter? It can be an underscore or dollar sign or any alphabet. After the starting letter, you can give letters and numbers and underscores. Then we should not use spaces or special characters. Yes, this is very important here to remember. We should not give any spaces. For example, the common mistake is, for example, if I write like this: int my age. Okay, int my age. So this declaration is actually wrong. Why it is wrong? Because there is a space here. So we should not give any space when you declare a variable. And if you want to still declare a variable like this, what you can do is you can give like this: int my age. Yes, this is a valid statement. Why? Because there is no space here, so we should not use any space. That's what you should remember. Should not use keywords or reserved words as a variable name. Here in the variable name, you should not give any reserved word. Then lowercase names and uppercase names are different. Yeah, Java is case sensitive, so lowercase names and uppercase names are two different names, variable names. And here there are some examples I gave. Then float marks. What is this? Float marks. What is float? Here float is the data type, and this marks is the variable name, right? Here it is the variable name. Here it is just the data type. Is it a valid one? Yes, it is a valid one. Next, second one, float space 3 marks. Is it a valid variable name? No, it's not a valid variable name. Why? Why? Because we should not start this variable name with a number, right? So that's why it is wrong. Next, double underscore length. Is it a correct variable name? See, we are starting this one with underscore length. Yes, it is a valid one. We can start the variable name either with alphabets or with the dollar sign or underscore, right? Then just now I told you, int my age, is it a valid one? No, it's not a valid one. Why? Because there is some space here. We should not give space when we give variable names. Next, char, my char, is it a valid variable name? Yes, it is a valid one because there are no spaces, correct? And at the same time you can use capital letters also in the middle of the, or if it contains two words, then without giving a space you can give capital letter also. It's also a valid one. Then float case, is it a valid one? No. Why? Because this is a reserved word. Case is a reserved word, so we should not give like this. Next, float my height, is it a valid one? Yes, we can use underscores, no problem. Float subject for, is it a correct one? Yes, it is correct one because we started with an alphabet, and after that you can give either letters or numbers, no problem. Double sub 1, so can you give like this? No. Why? Because there is some space here, we should not give spaces. Next one, int some test hash 1, can you give like this? No, because these special characters are not valid. Then char some gender m, what is wrong in this? Here this is wrong, we should not give, we should not use any parenthesis like this. Then float f, can we give a single letter? Yes, no problem. So these are some of the examples of variables. Now what is initialization? Initialization means giving some initial value to a variable is called initialization. Just now we saw how to declare a variable, then at the same time you can initialize a variable also. For example, int age is equal to 1, yes, this is declaration, and at the same time this is initialization. So a variable can be declared at the time of declaration. Yes, at the time of declaration you can initialize it. Initialization means giving some initial value, starting value to a variable. Then we can initialize a variable after the declaration. You can close the declaration here with semicolon. Then after some time, after few statements, you can write age is equal to 21. You can also write like this. This is initialization. Then multiple variables can be initialized at the same time. For example, int xyz, three variables I declared. Or for example, the dimensions of a triangle, for example, x, y, z. Then x is equal to y is equal to z is equal to 0. What does it mean? X value is 0, y value is 0, z value also 0. In this way, multiple variables can be initialized at the same time. And you can also declare the variable and initialize the variable at the same time, and you can also write all these things in a single statement. So initialization, more than one variable at the same time. Int x equal to 5 comma y equal to 6 comma z equal to 7. Remember, you should use commas. Then instance variables in Java are given default values, and method variable should be initialized explicitly. I think you do not know what this sentence meaning is. Instance variables we will be discussing in the next lecture. There you can understand instance variables. So in Java, some of the instance variables will be given some default values. If you don't initialize a variable, instance variable, Java automatically gives some default values. We'll see in the next class. And finally, we'll be looking at this program. Here, just check it out. I declared how many variables? Three variables I declared. So here it is the first variable, right? Here it is the second variable and the third variable. Three variables I declared. Dollar I, is it a valid one? Yes, dollar symbol is valid. Underscore j, is it a valid one? Yes, k is equal to 3. So all are valid statements. Then float sub 1, two variables I declared, sub 1 and sub 2. Can I declare like this? Yes, starting letter is alphabet, no problem. After that you can give any number, no problem. So there are no spaces here, so this is also a valid one. Now when you initialize this integer, we are just giving some integer value 1 2 3 like that. But when you initialize some floating point value, you should write this f, at the end of the number you should write f. If you don't write f, then Java takes it as double, and incompatible assignments you will get. So remember this, if you are initializing some floating point value, don't forget to include this letter f at the end of your number. Then comes double length, comma width. Two variables I am declaring here, right? Two variables, length and breadth, width. Length is equal to width is equal to 7.45. Yes, you can initialize any number of variables like this by using equal to. Both these variables, length and width, they get 7.45. Now this is the output of this program, and this is the way of declaring a variable and initializing a variable in Java. Thank you.